Any signs, Scott? I've just had a little roach on pole, and I mean little. Just had a bream, Tom. Yeah. No. Caught it on method mix. Yeah. You are? He's had 3 or 4 squat fish, I think. Decent fish though. Right, It's round 2 of the Drennan Knockout Cup, and we are on the beautiful new junction canal at Sycars, and I'm lucky enough to adjourn next to my good mate Tom Scoley.
We've had a lovely day, haven't we, mate?
Yeah, and very interesting. I'll be completely honest with you, you've done my head in.
Why?
Because I've caught a few skimmers early on the feeder, but then I've not caught anything for the rest of the match, and all day you've caught really well, haven't you?
Well, how do you think you made me feel catching those big bream on the feeder when I could only catch
No,
roach,
but
Nick?
yeah, but it's deceiving when you're catching these fish, because they look a good stamp fish when you're catching that, and it's bizarre. I think you've done it right, and you've been coming and practicing. You know what bait to feed and etc etc. But it is patchy, isn't it? Do you know what I mean?
It's massively patchy. Nick, I came 3 weeks ago and I sat about 10 pegs down there.
Yeah.
And I caught a roach every single chuck. I won the match with £13.
Yeah.
I came a week after, I grew up there, I never had a roach. I had 10 perch on.
Well, I've had one bite on the squat today.
It's definitely so patchy, isn't it? You know.
So I've had a look at his fish, and I reckon he's got 8 to 10 pound. I reckon I've got a bit more, but it's deceiving with skimmers. So we'll have to wait for the weigh-in. But fingers crossed.
Hopefully it will be going through to round 2. That's all that matters, isn't it? Right, through to round 2.
Yeah.
Fingers
that's
crossed.
the main thing. Yeah.
No, on the method feeder today, Nick. And Tom just caught on squats all day.
Yeah.
He's just wherever he sits, he catches roach. Now look at them all. We didn't catch him last week, did he? When he had 2 pounds.
13 metres there, isn't he? For...
Where is it?
That's an awesome net.
It is very good, isn't it? That?
He's doing extra well there.
Yeah.
Broke his landing net 5 minutes in.
11-2.
Yeah, can't get a spot in a squat.
I've had one bite on squat. What you had, Alan? First hour and 30 minutes.
That's it.
Yeah, I've had an eel long, and then I foul up to bream with 15 minutes to go, and that was the only bite I got in the last 3 hours on the tip.
Have you caught them on the tip?
Yeah, no, I've had an eel on the bait drop along.
Oh. Oh, lovely fish. What's it looking like then? Amazing what's in this place, isn't it?
Bit full.
£11.9.
Well done, Speedy.
Cheers.
11-11.
We didn't think we got that much of it, did you?
Cheers, mate.
No worries.
Thank you.
What have you caught on today? I've had 2 bream on tip, 2 pound and a quarter fish on tip, 4 perch, and then I've got 55 fish on squat, plus 1 skimmer on squat, and then I've had one about 8 ounce looking last 10 minutes.
What you weighed on?
11.10.
Oil fish is in here. Scott.
Hey?
I don't think I got that.
Swimming the wrong guy. So, Drennan Knockout Cup round 2 on the new junction canal. To be honest with you, I was really looking forward to this. As I say, I've only fished the canal once prior to the match this year. Obviously, used to fish it all the time when I was younger, and obviously a long break of 17 years. Then back on the canal 2 weeks before this event. And on this particular match it fished really hard, but I learnt a lot. I learnt about rigs and just fine-tuning my gear a bit and what to expect on the actual day. I know the canal changes an awful lot, but it was good to get back on the canal and refresh my memory on what it is actually like. So I was kind of like mentally ready. I spent quite a bit of time preparing for it as well, and it was just one of them matches. where you had to have a bit of everything ready. And I've drawn 3, 4, 4. Now the thing is with this round 2, there's 60 of us in the match, and we're looking at you know, the aim was looking at getting halfway in your section or above, which meant there's out of the 60, there's 30 going through to the next round. So to come halfway in your section or above meant you'd qualify for the round 3, which is on the Thames. Anyway, after the draw, we've got to the canal, and there's quite a lot of colour in the canal, which I was really pleased with, because then mentally it allowed me to approach it quite positively. When I was younger, I always used to do quite well on the junkie, fishing chop worm, whether it be under my feet, on the long pole, on the feeder, and although it wasn't good for perch regarding catching under your feet because of the colour in the water, it was perfect conditions for skimmers, and there's an awful lot of skimmers in the junkie nowadays, in comparison to what it was like when I was younger. So I was really looking forward to it. And then to top it off, when I've got to peg my peg 3, 4, 4, there's a big bush opposite me. It just looked really, really fishy. But in my section I had some good anglers. I had Johnny Arthur, I had Matt Godfrey, Tom Scoley, Jack Harness, Scott Green. So I had a bit of a battle on my hands in order to come even halfway in my section or above. And you know, as the canal always throws up through a few surprises, so I was really looking forward to it, to be honest with you. So anyway, cut a long story short, I've just simplified my approach. I fished for skimmers 3/4 of the way across at the bottom of the far side shelf, and that was just a fish meal mix, which basically was my method mix: green swim stim, marine halibut, quite a bit of brown crumb, and a little bit of black swim stim just to darken off the mix. And I just fed through the feeder on that particular line chop worm, a few dead maggots and some casters, and I fished either red worms or a bit of dendrobina on the hook. And then I fed a long pole line with chop worms and casters and maggots for eels, or basically anything that swam, eels and skimmers and the odd perch. And then I balled it in on my squat line. Now, I've had a few skimmers early on, and then I've spent the rest of the match not catching anything. I dropped a major mistake after speaking to Alan after the match, and he made me realise that I'd fished too far out on the squat line, and that's why I didn't catch, which was quite interesting. I fished at 10 metres, and he said, you know, when there's colour in the water, you should have fished nearer in, which obviously is a lesson learned, and that's why I didn't catch. I only had one bite on the squat. I initially balled my peg, I've then fed my long pole line, I've then baited my feeder line up, my skimmer line, and I've then gone on the squat, and I've only had one fish and then nothing. And luckily, when I've then gone on the feeder, maybe 20 minutes into the match after I've allowed my bait to settle, within 5 minutes I've had a bream, maybe a 2.5 pound fish. So that kind of like settled me, really did settle me. And then I've managed to catch another 4 bream on that particular line in the first 90 minutes of the match, plus an eel on the long pole line, and then basically sat there for the rest of the match watching Tom Scoley catch really well on the squat. And he's fished a fantastic match. He's managed it to just simplify his fishing, concentrate on the squat. And bizarre, you know, I've fed it quite, you know, obviously from what Alan told me, fed it too far out, but yet Tom's fished 13 metres, and he's caught all day on the squat, but he's put a lot of time in on it and practiced it, and obviously he's really confident, and I think confidence plays a big part on that. You know, it helps your float go under. However, on the canal recently it has been patchy, where some areas have been catching regarding squat fish and other areas have been struggling for a bite. So the last 2 hours I just sat and watched Tom catch all, you know, for the rest of the match on the squat, and it's ended up being quite a tight section. I've won the section with £11.9. I've had the 5 bream and eel, and I've managed to catch a few perch on my chop worm line short. and Tom's second in the section with £11.2, and then there was an £8. Matt Godfrey had £8, and you've needed Scott Green was last qualifying, joint fifth with Sean Little with £6. So, and all in all, the canal has fished really well. Frankie Giaconelli has won the match with £22 of skimmers and roach, fished a fantastic match, and Andy Nelson was second with £17 of skimmers, and Joe Carras was joint third with Harry Bignell with £17 as well. So it fished really well, but I think that was half expected with the colour in the water. So roll on round 3 now. We're on the River Thames. It's down to the bottom, bottom 30 anglers, and it's a stretch of the river that I've not fished before. I thought it was at Medley, but it's not. It's at another stretch. So it looks like I'm going to have to go down before and at least get 1 day's practice in. But looking forward to it.